I remember the tremor in my glass before I realized it came from my own hand. The ice clinked sharply, betraying the calm I was trying so hard to fake. Across the bar table my fiancé smiled, too easily, too brightly, and said, "Babe, relax. It's just dinner. Just dinner." Except it wasn't. Because sitting beside her, laughing like he'd written the joke of the century, was her ex, Eli. The one she barely talked to anymore. The one she'd promised was ancient history. And I was here because she wanted to prove something. "Prove you're not the jealous type," she'd said with that teasing smile, her fingers tracing my jaw as if that made it rational. "It'll be good for us." I agreed because love makes fools out of the reasonable. Because I'd spent a year convincing myself that my insecurities were the problem, not the tiny inconsistencies in her stories. Now, under the dim gold light of the bar, I could see it, the way her eyes softened when she looked at him. That familiar comfort that shouldn't still exist between exes. "Dylan, right?" Eli asked, leaning forward. His voice was smooth, deliberate. Man, she used to talk about how hard it was to find someone who'd put up with her late-night phone calls. "Guess you figured it out." He said it like a test, like he wanted to see how deep my patience ran. I smiled back, though it felt like I was swallowing glass. She still does that sometimes. Guess I'm just used to it. Emily, my fiancé, laughed, brushing his arm lightly. "Don't listen to him. He sleeps through everything." The touch was casual, fleeting, but it set something off in my chest. A cold, creeping instinct I couldn't shake. The conversation went on, words blending with the hum of clinking glasses and low music. I tried to focus on anything else, the smell of citrus and whiskey, the way the air felt thick with unspoken history. But every time Eli spoke, I caught fragments that didn't fit. "Remember that cabin trip up north?" he asked. She hesitated just long enough. "Oh yeah. That was ages ago." "Still got the photos," he said, his grin widening. "The one where you fell in the lake." "Classic." I watched her lips part, searching for the right expression. Embarrassed, nostalgic, guilty. She settled for a polite laugh, but her eyes darted toward me. That flicker of fear told me everything. I excused myself to the restroom. I needed air, space, something. My reflection in the mirror looked foreign. Jaw clenched, pupils blown wide, a man quietly unraveling under the weight of politeness. When I returned, she and Eli were closer. Too close. He was showing her something on his phone, his hand brushing her arm again. She didn't pull away. My stomach tightened. I forced myself to sit, each movement heavy, deliberate. "What are you showing her?" asked, voice flat. "Just an old picture," he said easily, flipping the screen toward me. It was the cabin photo, her in a red hoodie, laughing, dripping wet from the lake. He had his arm around her. But in the reflection on his sunglasses, I noticed something small, a tattoo on her wrist that she didn't have until recently. That wasn't years ago. That was months ago. My mind froze, trying to process. She must have seen it in my eyes, because her expression shifted, just slightly, into panic. "Babe, it's not what it looks like," she whispered quickly. "He just what?" I asked quietly. "You said you hadn't seen him since before we met." Eli sat back, watching like this was theater. "Guess timelines got blurry," he said with a smirk. I turned to her. "Tell me that picture's old. Tell me you didn't see him while we were together." Her eyes glistened, but the words didn't come. Just silence, thick and accusing. The world around us blurred. The hum of music, laughter from strangers, the bartender's call for last orders. All of it faded into the sound of my pulse pounding in my ears. She reached for my hand, voice trembling. It was one weekend. I just needed closure. Closure. That word snapped something in me. "So you lied," I said. "You didn't just need closure. You needed him." Tears welled up in her eyes. "It wasn't like that, Dylan. I swear it didn't mean anything." "Then why hide it?" Her mouth opened, then closed again. "Because there was no answer that wouldn't break us completely." Eli stood, tossing a few bills on the table. "Well, this got awkward," he said casually. Good luck, man. She's always been terrible at goodbye. As he walked out, something inside me hollowed. I stared at her, really stared, and for the first time I didn't recognize the woman across from me. She reached across the table, voice shaking. Please, Dylan, can we talk about this? You mean everything to me. But I couldn't speak. I couldn't trust the sound of her voice anymore. I just stood and left. Outside the air was cold, sharp. I didn't realize I was crying until the wind made my cheeks sting. I walked aimlessly down the street, every step echoing like the dull thud of something ending. My phone buzzed, her name flashing on the screen. I almost answered. Almost. But then I saw the notification underneath. A text preview from Eli. Don't worry. He bought it. And suddenly it all made sense. She hadn't invited me to meet him to prove I wasn't jealous. She'd done it to test if I suspected anything. Maybe they'd been together longer than I knew. Maybe it was some twisted game to ease her guilt. The betrayal wasn't just the cheating. It was the performance, the manipulation, the illusion of honesty designed to make me doubt myself. I deleted her number before I could second-guess it. My hands were trembling, but for the first time I felt something close to calm. Some people cheat because they want excitement. Others because they're scared of ordinary love. But Emily, she cheated because she thought I'd never find out. She was wrong. As I walked away, the bar lights faded behind me, swallowed by the city's neon hum. The night air tasted bitter, but in it was a strange kind of clarity, the first breath of freedom after choking on lies for far too long. And somewhere inside that ache, I realized something I hadn't before. You don't lose people like her. You escape them.